Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for taking the time to join this webinar today. It is a pleasure to have you all here. I am Manognya from the IT department, second year from Sesi Institute of Technology and Engineering. In today's rapidly evolving digital world, the way we build software is undergoing a fundamental transformation. Traditionally, organizations have railed on the software development lifecycle, SDLC, a structured step-by-step approach to design, develop, test, and deploy applications. While SDLC has been effective for decades, it was designed for a time when change was slower and data played a limited role. Today, with the rise of artificial intelligence and machine learning, software is no longer just rule-based, it is becoming data-driven and adaptive. This shift has given rise to the application development lifecycle, ADLC, where data, models, and continuous learning are central to development. Unlike traditional systems, AI-powered applications evolve over time, requiring new approaches to design, testing, deployment, and monitoring. This evolution also brings new challenges such as data quality, model bias, explainability, and ethical considerations. Organizations must therefore rethink their development practices to remain competitive and responsible. Today's session will help us to understand this important transition from SDLC to ADLC and what it means for developers, businesses, and the future of technology. I'm confident that this webinar will provide valuable insights and broaden our understanding of the evolving software landscape. With this, I would now like to hand over the session to Surendra, who will introduce our speaker and take the session forward. Over to you, Surendra.
Hi all, I am Surendra and I am from IT. So it is our pleasure to welcome you all to today's webinar on evolution from SDLC to ADLC. We are delighted to have with us our speaker, Mahima Kulkarni. As a passionate technology professional currently associated with Capgemini, she also holds the role of enterprise architecture. Mahima, ma'am has a strong foundation in computer engineering with a specialization in data science and has demonstrated academic excellence during her journey. She has actively worked on innovative projects and is deeply interested in emerging technologies, especially in the area of AI and modern software development practices. Her exposure to the real world problems solving and cutting edge tools gives her a unique perspective on how software development is evolving today. In addition, she has been actively involved in technical communities and knowledge sharing initiatives, which reflects her passion for continuous learning and collaboration. Today, she will help us understanding the transition from traditional software development lifecycle to the modern AI-driven application development lifecycle. I am sure her insights will be highly valuable and thought-provoking for all of us. Let us extend a warm welcome to Mahima Kulkarni and invite her to take the session forward. Over to you, ma'am.
Thanks, Surendra. Thanks, Manojna. So pleasure is all mine to have an interaction with you guys for introducing this topic of SDLC to ADLC. Just one correction over here. It's not application development lifecycle for ADLC, but it is agent-driven life cycle. So how that is different from SDLC. So I'm not sure, but I think you guys might have read about SDLC or software development life cycle as to what it looks like, what are the different phases, how it works in software development life cycle, as all of you are IT students in engineering. Just raise your hands if you know the concept of SDLC, or somebody type in if you don't know what SDLC is. ADLC, fine, you might not know, but SDLC, if you don't know, then I'll try to cover SDLC as well. So you guys are aware of SDLC, software driven development lifecycle. Okay, good to know that. Good to know that. Okay, I'll share my screen and you please let me know if you're able to see my screen. I'll put it in a presentation mode.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yes, thank you. So, okay, so now let's start with some fun element over here. I hope you guys are all reading the newspapers, right? Times of India, you have a special section now for education and also for AI these days. So, have you read all these statements in the newspaper?
Ma'am, their mics are off, so maybe
Yeah,
you
you
should.
can just put it in the chat. I just want to keep it interactive, so you can put it in the chat. Okay, good. So this is all is the you can see that the number most of these are all statements mostly from the CTOs and the CEOs of different companies where they are saying that with this AI and generative AI coming in, there is a huge change in the way IT was working in the past. And also for you guys as students who are aspiring to be software professionals in future. So the thing is like, okay, for you, it's more of skilling because you are still learning. For us who are the experienced people, it's more of reskilling. The unlearning of the software and learning of the intelligence engine is for us. For you guys, you still have to develop those skills. So it's a learning only for us. It's a humanization of AI. Humanization of AI means we make the AI work for us rather than it driving us. And that is why we are saying the agent driven software development is there or agent driven business processes is there. How that is different, what are agents, you definitely might know. You guys are reading all the newspapers, doing lot of learnings in Udemy, Coursera and all. The internet is flooded with agentic, agent driven generative AI, and I'm sure if not anything else you might all be using ChatGPT for sure, right? So that is it. Now why do we have to learn Gen AI? So definitely for staying competitive, that is again for us, for you guys, yes, increasing your, prospects in future because that's the way of working, getting yourself placed in the companies, embracing the learning for lifelong, upskilling for relevance. So relevance here is the most important aspect, and that is the whole point of SDLC to ADLC. SDLC is almost no longer relevant. So everybody wants an agent-driven development lifecycle for the softwares that we are developing for the business processes that are execution. That is where relevance is the most important point that we have here. Keeping up with the new ways of working, and what are the new ways of working is all agent-driven. Okay, then cost reduction. Of course, the whole point is that everybody wants to reduce the cost. And when we say cost reduction, earlier what was happening is that the softwares were developing, the time to market was like 6 months, 1 year for any software which was being developed. Now, to reduce the cost and to let the features come as soon as possible in the market, you need something which can deliver very quickly, and that's why ADLC, the agent driven lifecycle. For that, we need to empower the teams also. We need to, definitely learn how to use the agents, how to move from action to intelligence. So rather than you doing the action, you intelligently drive the action and make the agents do the work. So that's all about ADLC. Okay. Okay, so what is in for the software engineers that you guys are aspiring to be, right? So the digital world definitely is shifting from deterministic systems. When we say deterministic systems, it means that you had a set of algorithm steps, some set of business rules to be followed, which is a deterministic. Okay, 1 plus 1 will always be 2, 1 plus 3 will always be 4, or anything. If you mix blue color with green color, definitely it will become a yellow color. So these are all deterministic things. But definitely when you two of your friends, if you try the same question on ChatGPT, the answers would vary a lot. That is the probabilistic intelligence. That means that the way it's not deterministic, it's probabilistic because the ChatGPT or generative AI is referring to multiple sources. Now, when we say multiple sources, and if I ask a question, out of the 100 sources that are available to the generative AI, it might go to any two or any three or any four for the answers to your question, right? And that any four, that permutation combination which it goes to for generating an answer for you and for generating an answer for your friend, it will be different, and hence the answers will be different. That's why probabilistic intelligence. Okay. So we in the software development lifecycle also we had a very defined way of working, that first the requirements have to be gathered, then the designing has to be done, then the implementation of the design has to be done, then the testing will happen, then the deployment will happen, and then the software will be available for production. So this is a long time, and in this cycle, you are actually not going from the one phase to another phase back. But in the agentic, it's all a loop and it's a continuous improvement, it's a continuous learning, and you can go from one phase to another for improvement, right? So that's the agentic development life cycle. Okay, and why do we need this? So the one problem that this is solving is scale. Now, what a scale is, as you might see that uh, your institute might be somewhere in India and I'm sitting in Pune. So we are connected over here. This is the technology that is providing us, and if this session was open to many, instead of the 69 students that are attending it, it could be thousands of students that are attending it, right? So that's the scale that we are, and the technology, the teams call that we are having is enabling you to have that scale managed, right? So now, if I was developing a software in the past, we were developing a software which was not used, the number of users using that software was very limited. With the globalization coming in, with these technologies, these platforms coming in, the scale for the usage of the software is increasing a lot. Like, you can take an example of Paytm. With the notebandi that came in, the digitalization, the payment gateway, the number of users increased a lot. Because it was designed for scale, we could use the payment gateway, and now it has become a norm. So just imagine the population of India, and how just on 8th of November 2016, and after that the Paytm and the payment gateway, how much was the scale of its use? But it was because designed for that. That is why it was able to scale and support so many users. That's the disruption, we can say. If that kind of a peak comes in, that kinds of burst of users come in, is your software able to handle that? That's the scale. And that led to all, from on premises, where you have your softwares deployed on a couple of servers on your data centers, to moving to the cloud, to moving to the agentic development. Why? Because, say, in Paytm, let's take an example of Paytm or UPI gateway. If I want to introduce a feature, and that feature, say, suppose tomorrow some particular company is blacklisted, and I don't want the gateway to be open for that particular company. How can that feature, say as a result of this war only, so how can that particular feature be enabled very quickly from the software? That is the kind of time to market for a feature is that is being required, because of, you can say, all kind of economic or global disruptions that are happening around the world. That is why we need the SDLC that I was talking about earlier doesn't fit anymore in this world, because of the disruptions coming in, because of the scale coming in, right? So that is why we need something different, which is agentic development life cycle. Now, what is agent? What is agent development lifecycle is? So you have this SDLC as plan, design, build, test, deploy. Now ADLC is human agent collaboration. So from sequential to parallel, like I was talking about, it was a complete sequential requirements, design, testing, development, and then deployment. But now it's a parallel thing. Everything can go in parallel. From deterministic to learning, the agent learns from the feedback that a human is giving during the development cycle, during the review mechanism. It adapts, it senses to what is coming in, and it adapts. A very good example of it is the autonomous cars that we have. So the autonomous cars, just imagine that an autonomous car is launched in India. Of course, in the US or in the Europe, the autonomous cars are very successful. Why? Because the roads are very well structured, very well planned, very well defined. Just imagine that coming in India, where you have very small, narrow lanes, first of all. Second, there are a lot of people who are breaking the rules. There are a lot of different vehicles which are not actually, the standards, right? A lot of jugaad kind of vehicles we have, right? So that's what. Now, to train your autonomous vehicle to adapt to that kind of a learning, right? So you need that senses to be very, very strong so that it can react accordingly. And so that is why you need something like an agent where, and just imagine for a human or for a very deterministic system to understand, sense, and react accordingly, it will be very difficult. How many rules will you write? Just imagine for an autonomous car to work in India. Lot of rules. There are a lot of, you can say, vehicles which are just standing on the road, which are, not working. Somebody crossing the road without the green signal. There are also extensions of shops coming in, which are not legal, which are not defined, which as a rule. All this has to be sensed and adapted to, right? So that's what. And what problem we are solving over here is, as I said, the global scale problem. Okay, so this is what now how the entire era. So I you might have heard about monolithic systems or MVC frameworks that were there in your textbooks because they were written earlier. Now you won't see those kind of monolithic systems being built nowadays. Why? Because the requirement of scaling has differed. Just think again of an example of you guys might be doing a lot of shopping on Mintra or Amazon Prime and all. Just imagine the scale that it is serving. Just imagine the amount of online shopping that has increased over the period of 3 years, 4 years. It always existed, but with this digital payment gateways coming in, the number of or the volume of online shopping has increased, and not just these platforms like Myntra and Amazon Prime. Lot of new commercial businesses have launched, and all of them are integrated. You'll see that a new startup is coming in, which is trying to sell their clothes or their products online, and you see that integration done with Amazon Prime or a Myntra. Right? So that kind of a scale it is providing nowadays. And now for doing that, you need a different architecture, like a microservices based architecture, where different components can be scaled as per their need, like onboarding of a new startup or onboarding of a new vendor for clothes or a new vendor for medicines, for anything like that. Now, just imagine that with so much of scale, so much of different components, and every component wants to introduce a new feature, will a traditional software development lifecycle enable or help over here to have that kind of keep customer experience available with SDLC? So that is why you need to move to agentic driven, where agents are working for you. And what are agents? Agents are again softwares which are trained to handle a particular task. So when we say context driven swarms over here, where I am talking about the integrations with different vendors, different interacting with your platforms, you need a swarm of agents. you see that some agent is thinking, some agent is taking action, some agent is making a decision, and then humans are actually driving all that orchestration, right? Then also just imagine how things change. So like you might have seen that maybe before 2024, when the agents were not there, or generative AI was just coming in, you were not able to say that, okay, I want this kind of dress. Now you have seen that the multi-model input has started coming in. When I say multi-model, you can put in an image and say, I am looking for this kind of a dress, instead of typing instructions for a black dress with with lace or something like that. That kind of things you are putting in. Instead of that, you just put in a picture and say, or you ask that I'm going for, say, my college farewell or my college party, and this kind of venue is this, and this kind of crowd is coming in. What kind of dress should I buy? And it comes up with suggestions. So that's generative AI. That's what it is happening, right? Now if I want to increase this customer experience, now so many people talking and so many different types of customizations come. So what I do is I build an agent which will take care of this which will take care of this customer inputs, and accordingly come up with the suggestions for the customer. Then I have an agent which will say, work on the different payment gateways and do the payment for the customer. There are things also. Now just imagine that you have put in the image of a dress. Because of your digital history, the buying history that you have, your profile on LinkedIn, your profile on Facebook, your profile on Insta, all that data is collected, and the suggestion is coming that maybe something like, okay, this, based on what you had been shopping, this is a more comfortable dress than this one, or this dress you would like more than that one. This kind of suggestions coming in. How much amount of data it is processing in the background to give you the customization, that kind of customer experience. Recently, you might have seen, all of you might be hearing Spotify, right? Recently, that has the feature has come where you can export your playlist, and you can hear that, okay, a friend of mine or a colleague of mine, they are listening to this music. You have your favorites identified, and you get to see the suggestions coming. You can exchange that. All that is coming. Also, there is one more feature that has come in Spotify, is that you just set the vibe that today I want to hear songs, or just, we have DJs in the party and all. So you just set the vibe that, okay, it's a like I was talking about the college farewell party. You just set the vibe that that kind of party is there, and I want music according to that. It will generate, it will access all the different sources, and it will start collecting that kind of songs which will suit the vibe. That is kind of personalization. That now, for a system like this to process so much of data continuously, say, now you might have seen also in Spotify that when you're playing continuously, you don't play a particular playlist. If you're changing a song, if you're not interested in that, then it captures that the user was not interested in it. It will remove that kind of songs or that kind of vibes from your playlist, and it will not feed those kind of song suggestions again to you. Similar that is happening in Facebook and everywhere, right? So it's a lot of personalizations and customizations are happening now. Just imagine the number of people around the world, and everybody is getting that special personalization and customization. So to manage this, you need this, not the traditional SDLC, but the agent-driven development. Okay. Does that make a clear why we need this agent-driven development lifecycle? Any questions? There are any? You can just paste it in the chat. I have just stopped sharing the deck so that I can check the chat. Is this clear, or should I cover anything else? Please type in the chat, and I'll just address your question before we move ahead. Okay, are you finding the session interesting? Should I slow down, or does the space okay? Is the space okay with you guys? Sure, sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
okay,
Okay, ma'am.
okay, okay, good. Okay, so somebody was okay. Let me just finish my presentation, and then I'll come to the real life examples as well, as somebody has requested. Okay, so this is the agentic era, and okay, so now what does this change, or what does this mean for you guys, who you are students and aspiring to be software engineers? So the skill evolution. So as you see that earlier we were working on IDEs, compilers, debuggers, and version control. We were just learning writing clean code, efficient code, bug-free code, fixing specific bugs, implementing the features, doing some CRUD operations with the database management, some manually pushing the code to the servers, and not purely digital or virtual output or physical interaction. With IoT coming in and the Internet of Things coming in, we were actually interacting with the physical world a little bit for some few years back, but otherwise it was mostly digital that was happening. Now with cloud coming in, certainly your servers have moved to the cloud portals. How do you deploy in the cloud is through Terraform with infrastructure as code, because you are doing the deployment very, very quickly, very, very fast, and the frequency is also very high. So you need an automated deployment. So you need Terraform or infrastructure as code kind of a setup for deploying your code. Now connecting, so definitely, as we are saying, you have to connect to multiple services. This was with I am saying before Gen AI or Agentic era, where we connected with different flows through APIs, REST APIs, SOAP services, or through Kafka messaging, asynchronous messaging and all that through integration. And then you had your CI/CD pipelines also managing the deployments, your remote servers or interaction with services through APIs. How does that change over here? Is you see that instead of writing code, I should be the skill that I need to learn is prompt engineering, the agentic frameworks, the LangChain, the AI orchestration. So the language can be anything, but at the same time, I won't say that just by prompt engineering is sufficient and you can develop the code. You have to still learn the basics of your Java or your Python or your C++ to understand what the code has been generated is correct or not. So you still have to have your basics understood, but you don't have to remember any syntax or all, because that will be taken care of. When I say intent modeling, you have to understand how, what a problem is, how do I explain the problem better to somebody who has to do the work for me. Just imagine that maybe when we were having this session, Manojna was instructed, this is what we will be doing, this is how you have to introduce the topic, this is where you have to find the content for the topic, and then this is the forum you have to present the topic to. Right? Somebody did my introduction, definitely he did my LinkedIn profile search, understood, then created a summary out of it and then presented. So this was a task that was given to you. You were given instructions to execute it, and then you executed it. Now just imagine that if the person who was organizing the session didn't know what to do, he wouldn't be able to instruct you what needs to be done. Right? So now same way, we need to understand how we have to solve the problem, and then instruct, guide, direct your agents to do it for you. So we can say we are more of intent drivers than developers. Okay. So what we need for that is, you need the ability to translate complex business goals into actionable instructions so that the agents can execute it. Then governance and ethics, definitely so many agents coming in, working. So you need those ethics, ensuring the safety of your data, the safety of your product, your deliverables, the safety of the system that you are working on, right? Then context engineering. Now, what is context engineering? So just imagine that, like I was talking about this session. So just to think of like I was talking about shopping, right? Now there are a lot of jargons or buzzwords you guys are using while texting these days. LOL, laughed out loud. So that's like something which you guys understand the acronyms better in the context of chat. You use it, while talking also nowadays. But for people like us who are not the Gen Z, we would not understand what LOL means really, or people more elder than me wouldn't understand what does that mean, right? It has to be explained to them what it means. The context has to be explained to them. Similarly, when we are running a business, there are a lot of acronyms that are used. So, say for a car manufacturer, the BOM means a different thing, bill of materials, and that bill of materials will be different structure for a car manufacturer, and a bill of material will be a different structure for, say, laptop manufacturer, right? So those are the things. So the context is very important, that the words, the rules, the the workflow that we are using is in what context. Similarly, when you are developing a code, when you are fixing a bug in your code, you need to explain, give the context that what exactly you want to achieve, and the context. How do these agents maintain the context is through memories or vector embeddings for the multiple agents to refer and do the reasoning. Just imagine that it's all, we are building a brain for them. In your brain you have lots of information. If I say Ranveer Singh, you will just imagine, your brain will go to Durandar, and maybe you can just go back to the theater as well, and reimagine that you are watching that Durandar movie and all. So that's a kind of neural network that works in our brain. We want the same thing for the agents to do. As soon as an intent or a word is mentioned, it should go through its brain and extract the information related to that. Right? That's all about context engineering. Autonomous ops. So definitely we want the systems to self-heal. When we say self-heal, it understand where it went wrong or something was not done correctly, and then it is doing the self-healing part. That's what is the autonomous ops operations that is done. Robotic orchestration. So we have to also direct a human eye. So you will read on the internet that now physical AI has come in. So physical AI is the new technological innovation or disruption that has come in, where these kind of robots, not just robots, but intelligent robots, are expected to be doing the day-to-day activities that we are doing, and sense, adapt, and learn on the fly. Okay, so that's physical AI that we're talking about. So you might have seen robots earlier in movies and also in some households as well. We have a robotic vacuum cleaner which is very well available nowadays, where it has some sort of sensing available, but it is not AI. It is more of, you can say, a deterministic robot, where it has been trained that if this kind of a hurdle comes in, you have to just change your direction and uh, start cleaning from that side. So that is more of a deterministic orchestration. But the robots that are planned to be in future are intelligent. They are not deterministic. They are not rule bound. They are trained, or they will be trained and developed to reason and act accordingly. Like I was talking about the autonomous car, when it comes to India, it has to be an intelligent system. It cannot be a deterministic system, because there will be uh, lot of scenarios which will not come you cannot train it, because there could be scenarios which you cannot imagine that will happen. So it has to sense, react, and take a decision to react at that particular moment depending on the scenario. So that kind of robotic we need. So what it means for us is we have to be from builders of code, we have to be architects of intent. So I explained this in detail already. So they have to be, this traditional automation was like to-do list, like I was talking about, change. Now robotic delegation also, like I was talking about the early robots, repetitive, narrow actions. We had to many a times direct the robot. Now, assisted agents is where you do something manually, you review it, then for next action, you give a very specific task to the agents, and then they autocomplete that, say, autocomplete of code or answer any queries, like I was talking about these queries. It's very, you can say, assistance kind of a work. It's not completely autonomous or completely, driven. But when what agentic AI or agent, that is what we are talking about, is more of autonomous decisions, like I was explaining just now. And the physical AI is when your AI comes into the physical world, interacts with humans, and act, perceive, reason, and act the way we are doing in the unstructured physical environment. Why unstructured? Because when we say deterministic, you can tell the system, you can feed the system, this is how your environment will look like. But when it comes to the physical world, like we are staying in, it will be very different. It will be very unstructured, and it has to take decisions accordingly. Okay, so that's why it's different. Now, coming to the question that was asked about physical, some examples from the real world. So let's say some examples I have just given about your shopping experience. But just imagine, I was just trying to imagine and read about and write an article on how the car shopping experience would look like. So I recently purchased a car, and I went to the dealership, and he understood my requirements, what model matches my requirements, my budget. He checked, okay, I'll go back and check what's in my inventory, and then I'll let you know if that particular color, model, and the features that you're looking for are available or not, and by when your car will be delivered. Now, this was around me meeting him and he coming back to me after some token amount payment was like 5 days, 6 days. And for my car to be delivered, it was almost a month's time that the car was delivered. Um, what happened in between is that he had earlier given me a delivery date of like 8 days, but then he said the container, if the car comes by train, then it will take some 10 days. If it comes by a container, this will be the time. And then the container got stuck in between on the road, so the time was again increased. So just imagine the customer experience over here. And now in the agentic world, if I imagine this kind of a scenario of booking a car, say I am a person who is booking a car. Again, as I told that when I am visiting the website of this car dealer or car OEM, again, they can check my entire history of my Facebook, what kind of a personality I am, what kind of a person I am, and they can come up with the suggestions. It starts from there, enhancing the customer experience, personalization, and all. Then, whichever model I select, and the color or the configuration I select, it can immediately go to the interconnected system. It's no Excel sheet or copy of a printout of the inventory that they have, but the agent will start working and go. While I am even selecting, it will start getting the data from their inventory and checking that is that model available or not in my nearest warehouse of the dealer or of the vendor. About that, it can give me a very precise delivery date depending on the modes of transport that are already scheduled. It can show the planning. It will have the planning of what kind of scheduled delivery modes, like by train how many cars, which model is coming, by bus, not by bus but by containers, by road, or by ship how many cars are coming. Does my configuration, which mode of transport it will be there if the car is available, or if had to be made to order, then definitely how much duration it will take. All this calculation, integrations of the systems through model context protocol gateways, MCP gateways, or servers that are available, all this information will be available, and I can get a very precise date. Now, even if I don't get a precise date and I have done a booking, it will not take 1 month, but just few minutes for the site to, or the person to tell me that my car would be delayed or this configuration is not available. Can I go for another configuration? And it can work on some, you can say, damage control or some proactive offers according to whatever is the margin that is available with the dealer. It can come up and it can give me a lucrative offer that if you go for this color, your delivery would be earlier and you get a discount of like this. This is the kind of change that will happen in a real life business scenario when agent driven development or agentic workflows come in picture. Okay, just one example I gave you about the shopping experience. Now just imagine also in your learning also, you guys, you'll definitely go back, just ask ChatGPT that the ADLC that I was talking about, what is it, what does it mean for me, what do I learn for that as an IT student of second year, how should I plan my learning, how should I prepare myself for the future, the kind of job that I'm looking for. It will all generate. Just try to set the tone correctly, just try to give very precise instructions of what kind of a person you are, how much you can grasp, what it should give you a beginner's level content, or it should give you more detailed level content, or in a particular field or related to a particular domain, what would agentic AI look like in that particular domain, and it will give you content accordingly. Definitely that is not agentic, but it will give you the content, because for that also a lot of background work is happening behind the scenes. Also a lot of agents are working in ChatGPT or OpenAI or platforms like this, which we are not seeing. But what we are talking about is more of how do we develop agent. I can talk about again real life example, like I was talking about the SDLC, where we were doing the requirements, the design, the testing, the development. What we have done also is we built custom agents, like not disrupting the complete SDLC, but we have built custom agents which I say that generate this type of test cases, unit test cases, or generate this type of manual test cases or automation test cases for me, and it will generate. This is the code that it will go through the entire code, it will scan through the entire code, and it will start generating the test cases accordingly. Also, agent handoffs can happen that once this agent, like the analysis agent, has done its analysis, say a bug comes in a software. My tester has tested the software and he says that this is the bug in your software. I give that bug to my analysis agent, say that, okay, analyze in the requirements first, where this bug might have arrived from. Then analyze in the code, where exactly at which point this bug has impact, or this which part of the code has introduced this bug. And then I can say fixing agent will fix the bug, and then a deployment agent will deploy my application. This way I can do a complete cycle. At the same time, I can integrate with multiple systems, where originally my requirement was my systems like GitHub Actions or your Jira or your Confluence, all that together, the information, and then my cloud, like I was talking about the IAC. So an agent can work by deployment agent can generate that IAC code and deploy my code in AWS or Azure, depending on which cloud I'm using, with the gateways that are available. So this is what is the real life example that I can say. This is how it will change. Also, like one could be your personalization trips that are, advisors, the trip advisors that you have. Just try putting in your requirement. Maybe it will check your health history in the background and also your Facebook to see that you are a mountain lover or you are a beach lover, and accordingly suggest you the destination that you can plan. Also, it can check your Google calendars, or if at all it has your college calendar, your college schedule, or your college holidays available. It can say this is the right time because this time you will have your exams, or this time you have your holidays. So this is the best time to go for a holiday. That can be an agent-driven trip advisor. If I can take an example from there. Anything else? Anybody, any questions, or would you like me to cover anything?
Guys, we had actually a Q&A session right now. So if you had any doubt regarding the topic or behind your mind, you can ask us in the comment box.
Did you find the session interesting? Can you please give your reactions?
Yes, ma'am. The session was definitely very interesting.
Thank you. Okay, what tools are used? So tools that are used is more of you can say MCP is the protocol that is used to connect different tools like your Jira or your Confluence or your GitHub, which is your version control system, to your software. And then for the frameworks, you have LangGraph, LangChain, which is available for developing these agents. And then you might read about spec driven development, where you just give a requirement, it will generate your requirements and it will generate the code also for you. So that is one thing that you can check. And you can read about custom agents. What is the framework that is used, like instructions file, skills, markdown files, all that, and that will help you to understand how do you actually write your agents, develop your agents. How do you write a custom dot agent file, your agent.md, where you describe your agent, your skills.md, your instructions. So those kind of readings you guys can do to read about custom agent building. And for orchestration, LangGraph would be used for orchestrating your agents. So all these are Python based frameworks available. Okay, if AI is a companion for humans, why people are being replaced by AI in this corporate world? Did our understanding? No. No. So definitely AI is companion. Now, just for this question, as I was talking about in my first slide about reskilling. So when you say people are being replaced, people who are not reskilling. So see, we were not, just imagine a life before mobile phones were there. There are your grandparents, your great grandparents, they still cannot use the mobiles, right? So in that case, the way you are connected with your friends, family, they are not, because they still don't know how to use a mobile. The payment gateway, or using Paytm, I was talking about using WhatsApp. Many of our grandparents and you know few parents also don't know how to use WhatsApp or communicate. So they are not reskilling themselves to use these gadgets and these tools that are coming in. People like you or us, who are reskilling, who are adapting ourselves to the technology changes that are coming in, we definitely will be able to work in this AI world. So it's not that it is replacing, but if we keep continuing our routine work and we don't reskill, definitely we will be replaced. Yeah, so the kind of timelines, yes, definitely the timelines will reduce, and that's the whole purpose of reducing the time to market, and that is the ask that we are also seeing from our customers, that the timelines have to be reduced. If you see for companies like Google, for companies like Amazon, which are product-based companies, which are platform-based companies, they are having releases like 100 releases in a week. When we say releases, it's a custom complete features that they are giving in a week. So that's the timeline. Definitely for many of our projects where the change is not that fast, or the competition is not that fast, the timeline would differ. It will still be 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or a month, but not for platforms where the competition is very high. When your your market share is at stake, then definitely your features, you have to release your features very fast in the market, so that you take the benefit of the early bird, and your competition doesn't attack on your market share. So the timeline would differ depending on what is the competition you're facing, what is the urgency of the feature, what is the business stake which is related to that feature release. Oh, just starting, how can we begin learning and applying concepts? Okay, so as I said, it has to be very structured. First, learn about GenAI. And as I said, you need to learn the art of delegation. First, you need to understand. Just start simple. What you do, just preparing your to-do list, that this is how I have to study for, just give an exam schedule, this is how I have to study the subject, the content that you want, and try to ask questions to ChatGPT, that this is what I want to do. And you will see, as much as you are clear in giving instructions to get your work done, you will be the master of agents or master of generative AI, because it's all about context engineering. It's all about driving, as I said, from builders of code, you are architects of intent. If you are able to communicate your intent correctly, you will be able to make the agents work. For that, first of thing you need to understand is, I would say, you know, conquer a topic, conquer a domain, try to get more of domain knowledge as well. Whichever domain industry you are interested in, try learning about it. Take a small use case that I was talking about, like a car thing, or e-commerce website. Just take a small thing and see, okay, how do I solve this business problem? Just try putting it in a plan, and see, now I have to develop this workflow, I have to digitize this workflow, how do I do about it? And that will become your problem statement to build your project. But don't go for even for your college project, don't go for getting a ready-made project. Just approach it this way. Any industry of your choice, wherever you want to see yourself in the future, take any business problem of your interest, try to create a plan, and then go ahead with it, and then do a development. You will realize what you need to learn. But definitely, as I said, in Python, the frameworks are available: LangChain, LangGraph, and a lot of other frameworks. Agentic is also available. So those kind of frameworks are available. Start learning Python. Python is very, I would say, a very good new language that has come off. A lot of development is happening into that. Understand knowledge graph, how the knowledge graph, because behind the scenes, what your generative AI is doing is it's building a knowledge graph to connect all the sources, and connect the dots, like the brain, the way our brain is doing. Think of reasoning, how we are reasoning and taking decisions about certain actions that are coming in. The same way it has to be developed. Yeah, so I use Google AI mode very often to do my research. I use M365 Copilot to do my research, and for development, there are a lot of tools like GitHub Copilot is there, then Cloud Code is there, then Cursor is there, that is available. You can use the free version of those for your development part. Okay. Yes, so for the role of software engineers, I just spoke about the evolution of skills that you need in one of my slides. So that's why I intentionally put that particular slide, that the traditional way of learning has to change. You have to think more of problem solving, business problem solving, understand how you would solve it, and then the development, as I said, just approach it that way. Think of a problem of any industry and approach it that way. Break it down into smaller problems and see how much detail you can get into it to solve the problem in the best possible way that you can think of. It might not be the best possible way as per any business expert, but just think of and try to improve it again and again. Okay, I can do it in this way. I can do it in that way. Just try different permutations and combinations, and you yourself will realize that okay, what is the best way of doing it, how you're improving, how you're giving feedback to yourself and to your assistant, like your code assistant, like a GitHub Copilot or a Cursor or a Cloud Code and all. So you are in, as you enhance your instructions, there is a feedback loop mechanism that works in the background. It goes back and says, okay, this output was not correct, I have to improve this. Okay, so that's how it is improving. So you, I would say, learn to be masters and learn the art of delegation. So I think most of the questions which are there are answered. AI tools in research and development, how do you evaluate the reliability and bias of outputs generated by these tools, especially when integrating them into critical solutions? Yes, absolutely, very good question. And yes, the bias. So bias is more from the training that is coming. So as much as you give different scenarios and you are not imposing. Also, the when you give the instruction, the kind of role that you are asking the your assistant to take, right? So say when I am writing something, I say that you have to write, you are a domain expert. Like I was talking about the sales to order process that I was talking for the car manufacturer. I told that you are a domain expert, you know this, you are an expert, and you have to imagine like this, that how the sales to order process would look like in the agentic era. So that kind of thing. And definitely that is why human in the loop, and you, not just human in the loop, I say human in the lead is will always still be required. We still will be the masters of the agent because we are driving them. We are you can say crediting them for what they are doing good, and we are punishing them for what they are doing bad, right? So that's what we still are the masters, and we, whatever the agents do, we will be responsible. You as a developer will still be held accountable for what wrong your agent has done. So that is why human in the lead will still be there, and we will still be responsible. There was a news recently yesterday where in one company they had Claude licenses, and 60 licenses were revoked by an agent which was doing the access control of the rights. So 60 licenses without any action taken by these people, which was wrong. The licenses were revoked and their work was halted for almost 2 hours. So that kind of goof ups happen. Why? Because we were responsible, we did something which the agent was not trained to be or that he couldn't adapt or take a proper decision for that in this scenario I should not revoke the license, I should rather connect and find out, but it revoked the license. So that kind of actions are very much possible. That happened with Anthropic, which is the leader right now. So it can happen. So we still be the masters, and we definitely have to. And that is why I always say that whatever has been generated has to be reviewed. I know that the generation is very fast and the review can be slow, but still it has to be reviewed, because whatever I am publishing or whatever I am circulating, I am responsible for it. So the review has to happen by humans, so that we don't create an impact of business. We are aware what risks we are taking. We are aware that the system would work like this. Definitely for the reasoning part, when the agent is making decisions at runtime, that reasoning part still it might hallucinate. And that is why I was talking about the instructions, the context, the directions, what to do, what not to do has to be very crisp, clear, so that you are almost 90% sure that your agent will not deviate from the instructions that you have given, the context that you have given, And yes, 10% chances would still be there that it will take some wrong decision. But with the instructions, with the context, with the do's, don'ts, the sources, that is why you have these fine-tuned models also, which specific industries like banking and all are using, where when we say fine-tuned model, the model is not allowed to go to thousands of sources available on the internet. It will just be tuned with the data that is relevant for that bank, and proprietary data that is there. So private and fine-tuned models is what is being used by banks and all, so that you control the sources, the knowledge, the training data of these agents and these models, so that they don't hallucinate and take wrong decisions. So that's the way of controlling these critical systems. Developed. Okay. So as I said, see, AI assisted insights and human judgment, definitely, if you are an expert, but you don't want to write the content yourself, whatever is being generated, you have to always verify the facts. If you are a master of a research that you're doing, or master of the subject that you're doing, and if something comes up but with it has generated, that it's not relevant, or you can do some fact checking. So say if some information is given by the agent or by the generative AI that this is the information, you have to do the fact checking. You have to check, you still you do some go back. So if it has generated say 100 points, maybe 80 points are correct, but 20 points you have to still do the fact checking. So that is why we are saying that you have to be the domain expert, the subject matter expert. So if you are you are the master of your subject, if you are an expert of your subject, you can definitely find out that the information generated is a hallucination or it's a fact. And we still have to do the fact checking for sure. So I won't say that there is a definite way of drawing the line of AI assisted, but again, if it's very, very critical, and as I was talking about the dynamic thing, that the autonomous cars in India are still not launched because it's a huge risk. It's a huge risk, right? It can lead to a lot of accidents. That itself is, you can say that where the risk is very high, uh, you have to see that what task has to be done by agent and what still has to be done by human. So it's a trade-off between risk and what risk you can take and what the kind of impact that it will create if a decision goes wrong, right? So that is so the line to be drawn is more from the risk perspective, what risk I can take and what impact. You have to assess what can go wrong if it's not done correctly, right? Yes, prompt engineering is the way you are interacting with your systems, right? So prompt engineering is the way we are communicating right now. So if whatever I am speaking, if you're not understanding or if you're not getting what I'm speaking about, then definitely this entire 1 hour is a waste, right? Similarly, prompt engineering is the way of communication with your LLMs or with your agents or with your assistants that we are working on. Prompt engineering is the only key because that is the way you are helping your agent understand what you want to achieve from what you want, what actions do you want it to do for you. So prompt engineering is, I would say, the language, the communication, the way of communication. So it plays the most important role. The output might depend very largely on the way you have written your prompts. So prompt engineering is the most important, you can say, learning that you have to do as part of ADLC or any, not just ADLC, because ADLC is more of agent and enhanced version of generative AI. But for any generative AI, prompt engineering is the key because that's your mode of interaction with your systems.
Yeah, I think the topic is very interesting. The questions will go on. We are 10 minutes over for the session.
Oh,
Thank you,
okay. Sorry,
audience. Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, Satvik, you can take over. I know there'll be still questions coming in because the topic is interesting and it's where the industry is moving. But yeah, I think you
Uh,
can have the thank you note.
I would just like to add one point. Since the questions are coming in, maybe Satvik and team, you can collect
Yes.
all those questions and we can have my ma'am answer them. I'll share it. We can share it, amongst the students once
yes.
the questions are done. That we can do. Just collect them and send it to me.
Yes,
Okay, sir.
and just thank you for being so good audience, I would say, and so many questions coming in. That means you were listening to the session very carefully. Thank you for that. Thank you for your attention, and you have been great audience. Thank you so much for your time.
Satvik, you can quickly summarize and you're on mute, Satvik.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am, for this insightful session on SDLC to ADLC, reimagining software engineering with agentic engineering. First and foremost, I'd like to express all our sincere gratitude to our esteemed speaker, Ms. Mama Kulkarli, ma'am, for delivering such an engaging and thought-provoking session. Your insights into the evolution for trading SDLC to AI-driven ADLC and the role of agentic AI in transforming software engineering have truly broadened our understanding of the future of technology. We are deeply thankful for your valuable time and sharing your knowledge, ma'am. I would also like to extend our heartfelt thanks to the organizers, CSI Capgemini, in association with SESI Institute of Technology and Engineering, for successfully arranging this webinar. A special thanks to Capgemini for its support to academical institutions and emerging technologies. Also, our Sandeep Daskar sir for arranging this webinar. A special thanks to the management, faculty members, and coordinators for their continued support and efforts in making this event a success. I'd also like to thank the participants. Without you, this was nothing but a group of people. Your presence made this session more meaningful and attractive. Finally, I thank everyone who worked behind the success and the scenes to ensure the smooth conduct of this program. With this, we come to the end of today's session. We hope this webinar had inspired you to explore the future of software engineering and embrace the evolution role of AI. Thank you all once again. And ma'am, we truly hope to have the privilege of your presence again in our future sessions. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Mahima.
Thank you,
Thank you,
ma'am.
Satvik, for and thank you, Sandeep, for coordinating with the colleges. That this was a fantastic session where we had so much of interaction from the students directly. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mahima. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
A nice
Thank
evening.
you.
Thank you.
Have a
Bye bye.
nice day. Bye bye.